Hello and welcome to the hello world of Ethereum dApps. I'm going to show you right now the start to finish, every single step of how to make a simple Ethereum dApp. Contract, front end, we're going to create and deploy our contract using remix.ethereum.org. We're going to make our front end using React and the Ethers.js library. And then the actual interaction will be handled by MetaMask. So all these technologies, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do every step. Don't worry, we'll get all the way there. So this is our desired end state, beautifully styled. We're going to want a connect wallet button that will show us which address is connected. So this is our MetaMask address that's currently connected. We can get the current contract value. Second update, looks like I've done this before. Let's go for the third update. So we are updating a text value in our contract itself. We're going to click update. MetaMask wants to confirm that we want to spend the gas. We're going to go ahead and say yes, we do want to spend the gas. Granted, this is on our local Ganache chain, and I can show that to you here. This is Ganache running. We have our MetaMask connected to this Ganache chain. You download Ganache, and then you type Ganache-CLI. Use your private key to import it into MetaMask, and then you can interact using MetaMask with your Ganache chain locally. So get the value, third update, read it from the chain. So the first thing we're going to do is go to remix.ethereum.org because we need to write our contract. So Remix gives you a simple storage contract out of the box. We're not going to change anything. We're just going to use it mostly as is. It's got one data point, and we set it by calling the set function, and then we get it by calling the get. The set will cost gas because it changes the state. The get here is a view, which means it will not cost gas. We can mash that get button all we want. So that's the contract. Let's compile it. Go to the compile tab. Now we go to the deploy tab. I'll show you here, right here in environment, I have Web3 provider selected. So it's reading all those accounts from my Ganache chain. And now we've got our contract selected. Let's hit deploy. And then down here in deployed contracts, we can actually see that it can set with a string variable and then get it. And we've got stored data. That's the actual variable itself. So the address of this deployed contract is here. If we click this button, it saves the address of Simple Storage to our clipboard. Back here on the compile tab, this is our ABI, and this will come in handy later. Later we'll need the ABI and we will need the address. But first, let's just get into making, so now we have it on our Ganache chain, on our machine. So now let's make the front end. Open up terminal, I have the existing front end running. Let's back out of this. Let's go to Simple Store. How I created Simple Store, it's just the boilerplate for what we're gonna be building. I didn't want to type everything brand new, but it's all gonna be typed brand new, don't worry. But I'll show you how we create Simple Store. Is just npx create React app Simple Store. Hit enter, and then it'll spin up the directory. Then it would create Simple Store. We would hit cd Simple Store. Now we're inside of it. Next thing we need to do is install Ethers. So we would do npm install Ethers. Hit enter. We're not going to do that right now. Both those things take a lot of time. That's why we're not doing it right here. So now we have Ethers installed. Now we can do npm start to run our Simple Store front end. Out of the box, it's going to come with some boilerplate code. But right now, it's blank because I erased it. The app had a bunch of boilerplate code right here. I erased it, and I just did import Simple Store from Simple Store. I created a Simple Store component, and I put the component right here where all that boilerplate code used to be. Simple store is, if you see here, it's in the same directory as app. So our simple store app has source. I saved this simple store component in the same place that everything else is, just keeping this really simple. And this is basic component. So you do const simple store. No, we're not putting anything into it right now. Blank return, export default simple store. So don't worry, I'm gonna show you everything. I just skipped a couple steps. Really just the npx create React App step and the import ethers step, because those took time. So what we're gonna do is, let's start with, what do we want to be on the screen? Well, we're gonna have a header. And we're gonna say, our header is get set interaction with contract. Okay, and then end h3. Now we want our button to connect. We need our button to connect. So we're gonna do button. We're gonna say that when you click the button, we're going to call connect wallet handler, which is not defined yet. We will define it. The text inside of the button is going to be called connect button text. It's in curly brackets because we're going to dynamically set it with JavaScript, because the button text itself will change. Because when we connect, we want it to say connected or disconnect. Before we connect, we want it to say connect, like please connect. All right, so that's our button component. Before we render that on screen, we have to define our connect wallet handler. We're not taking any inputs. So now we should see connect button text. That's right. We have not defined connect button text. Okay, so this is a great time to just go into all the variables that we're going to need. We are going to have to import some stuff from React. Let's just go import React, and we're going to use state. This is not a React lesson, obviously, but I'll briefly say, for those of you who don't know, React use state is essentially variables, but they remember what they were because this component will re-render itself it'll render itself many times. Use state is a way for the variables to remember what they are. So I'll give you an example. Let's do all the variables that we're going to need. I'm actually going to just splash them on the screen. We're going to use all of these. So what you do for use state is const error message. So this is a variable. Just think of this as being like error message is a variable. And then set error message is the function that you use to change the value. Instead of doing error message equals new value, you say, after we've defined how error message is set, you would say set error message new value. And then the component will re-render and it will have set error message as the new value, or new value as the error message. So we're going to have an error message that we will set just in case. We're going to have default account. This will be the MetaMask account. We're going to have a connect button text. That is this button text here that will be dynamically rendered. And we're going to start it off with by asking the user to connect their wallet. We're going to have a current contract value, which will display dynamically. And then we're going to have our provider, signer, and contract. These are all Ethers.js kind of functions, and these are more like UI functions, variables up here. So the connect wallet handler. User will press the connect wallet handler, or they'll press the button. As you see here, connect wallet. Right now nothing happens. What do we want to happen? We want the user to connect to MetaMask. We also want to display our address. So let's say address, and it's going to display the address which we're going to store in our default account variable. So if you see here, address is blank because default account is null at the moment. But when we update default account using set default account, this will dynamically change to whatever we've set as the default account. So that way in Connect Wallet Handler, let's get into it. If they press the button, we need to check if Ethereum is present in the window. MetaMask injects it into the window. If it's not present, let's set our error message to be need to install MetaMask. And we'll go ahead and just plop our error message down here. So this should be blank the whole time, but if we ever get to a point where we're setting it, then all of a sudden it will render on screen. And it will render as need to install MetaMask if window Ethereum is not present. So we're going to assume that MetaMask is present. Window.ethereum is true. And then what we're going to do is request the account. So we're going to ask window.ethereum. We're going to do a JSON RPC method. So we say method. This is all, before I go any further, show you where you can look this up. It's all on Ethers and MetaMask websites in the docs. Right here, docs.metamask.io tells you that's where I'm getting this from. So method eth request accounts. This will return the MetaMask account and ask to connect it. So two things happening here. Essential functionality. This is going to be a promise event. So as you notice here, after I do this, the C bracket, I'm going to go then, and then we're going to take the result, and the result of this requested account is basically going to be an array of Ethereum accounts that are connected. Hold on, my recording froze. Can we get it back? Let's try to get that back real quick. Better. Float it on top. Okay, my computer is struggling right now. Okay, so we're going to get an array of accounts. And what that looks like is it's going to be, so our result is that array. So like result 0 is going to be the first account returned. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to have an account changed handler that we will define that will take our connected account. At the same time, let's set our connect button text so that our button dynamically displays wallet connected. Now, account changed handler, let's define that function. Account changed handler, this takes in new account. And what do we want to do? We are going to, with our account changed handler, we're going to set default account to the new account. So now our default account will dynamically display here. At the same time, actually that's good for now. So now connect wallet. Oof, cannot read properties of undefined reading request. Window Ethereum is not correct. Window Ethereum. Connect wallet, boom, that's cool. So our wallet is now connected, we have our address. Now let's get Ethers connected. Let's get Ethers going because we have the address, our wallet address connected, but we need to actually do stuff. So whenever the account is changed, let's update Ethers. So update Ethers can be a function. And what are we going to do inside of update Ethers is a whole bunch of stuff. So this is a little ugly, what I'm about to do. that's okay. Let's call this temp provider equals new ethers.providers.web3 provider window.ethereum. So what this is we are creating an Ethers provider, and that is basically our like MetaMask. It's like a read-only. Then let's set our provider to the temp provider. This is the ugly bit where I'm like creating a temp provider and then setting it here, and then I'm gonna use, instead of just using provider dot whatever, I'm actually gonna use this temp provider because I'd have to otherwise wait for this to actually get set and re-render. I'm just not gonna do that right now because we're just blasting through this. So we're gonna do a temp signer. Now a temp signer means we do our provider dot get signer. This would be another way to ask for permissions, but basically this turns our read-only into a read and write by using the signer. The signer can write. It has access to your key. I mean, not really, but kind of. And then let's set signer to our temp signer. Then we get our contract. Let temp contract equals new ethers.contract. And contract takes contract address, and it takes, we're going to call it simple store ABI. It takes the ABI of the contract, which is like a definition, a JSON definition file of the contract, which I'll show you how to get out of Remix. And then it takes our signer so that we can perform read and writes on the contract. And then let's set contract, set contract to our temp contract. I'm doing these use states in here as well so that we can use these outside of this function. There's much better ways to do this. I'm just like I don't really know. So, but it'll work. It'll work. So we got the provider, we got the signer, and then we add the signer in to the contract so we can perform functions on the contract. This is what we want to do. So we need the address and the ABI. So let's go get those. Let's pretend we have a contract address, which we do, don't worry. Let's say const contract address equals, let's go back to Remix. We have our deployed contracts on our deployed tab. Click the button to get the contract address. Go back to our app. Paste it. That is our contract address. Now what about the ABI? Let's start a new file and let's call this, let's go get our ABI from our compile tab. Click the ABI button. Paste it right in. This is a JSON definition of our contract. Let's save it. I'm just going to save it all in the same place because we're doing this fast. We're going to call this simple store underscore ABI. Great. Save it. Now, back in our app, we can import it. Oh, we never imported ethers. We were going to get an error. Import ethers from ethers. Yep. I think we have to do curly bracket. Maybe we don't, but whatever. And then import our simple store ABI. So we're going to do simple store ABI from simple store ABI. I did something bad. I did not save simple store ABI as a JSON. So let's go here. Simple store ABI. Let's rename it. Simple store ABI.json. Yeah, let's go ahead and add it. I think I do want to do that. We don't need this anymore. Click out of it. Well, Sure, save it. Okay, so now we've got our ABI connected, we've got our contract address, we've got a contract defined here. Let's just see if we get any errors. We shouldn't, but you never know. Yeah, did not like that. Simple store underscore ABI.json. It says it could not find it. Somehow I don't believe you, but simple store underscore ABI.json. Simple store underscore ABI.json. Because we didn't do /. It's thinking. It hates us. It works. We can assume our contract worked because we got no errors. So now what do we want to do? Well, we want to play with that contract, don't we? So let's add a button to get the current value. Let's call it get current val. Get current value button. Then let's define get current val, takes no parameters. Now what we can do, this is the coolest thing about React and Ethers. You're just going to be amazed at this. Get current val has to be async because it's going to be a promise event. So let's watch this. Contract, let's say let val equals await contract, because remember set contract, we set our contract, so that is here, contract, set contract. So contract is the contract. Remember what our function is called? Our function is called get. And look at this. We're just gonna get it, and it's gonna return stored data. Whatever it's set as, it's gonna return it. And let's go ahead and do set current contract val as the val that is returned from that. So it's gonna wait for the promise to end, set current contract val. Then we can just show it down here, current contract, curly brackets, current contract val. So whenever current contract val is updated, it will be rendered. We're going to update it. So just look at that. It was just contract.get. Is that really all we have to do? I don't know. Let's find out. Connect the wallet, get current value. Oh, we haven't even set it yet. Naturally, let's make a button to set it. Let's do a form. Let's do onSubmit equals set handler. And let's do an input. Let's call it ID set text, where it's going to be type text. There's all kinds of like error handling and best practices you should do with inputs, but we're not going to do that right now. So that will be, I'll just show you, that's going to be a little input box. What are you mad at? I never ended the form, so we should probably do that. Set handler is not defined, of course it's not defined. Const set handler. Set handler will take the event in, because where it's on a form, it's a submit action on a form. And then actually while we're here, let's just do event prevent default, because when we're doing a submit action on a form, we don't want the whole page to reload. So that's going to prevent that from happening. And there's our little text box. Now the button, let's do the button to submit that text. So it's going to be button, we're going to say type, submit, update contract, button. Save it. Do it, please. Update contract. Oh yeah, we didn't actually set. So our set handler. So we hit submit on our button, and it's going to call this function. We're going to get the text that's inside of this input, the set text. So how do we get that? We're going to do contract. Again, so cool. Just contract dot set, because that's what it is in the contract, set. So dot set event target set text value. So the event target set text, or set text, the value of it, and the contract's we're gonna call the set function of the contract. So this is how cool Ethers and all this is. Okay, let's do it. Update contract. Okay. So the contract is null. Well, that's interesting. Connect the wallet. The contract gets instantiated. Now I can set it. Update contract. Now MetaMask asks for permission to spend my monies. Confirm it. Get current value. My Ganache is still mining the next block. And as soon as the block gets mined, now I can set it. We have our value. So that's it. That is get, set, hello world. I actually should have typed hello world, but you know, whatever. There is a lot of stuff that you need to be careful with that we didn't go over. But this was fun. Thank you so much. And I hope you come back next time. Have a good day.